Welcome to our YouTube channel. We are here at the Berlin Green Investing Summit. It's nice to have you here. How did you come into impact investing, and what is your background in investing?
Well, my name is Jan Stahlberg. I've been a private equity investor for the last 24 years with EQT. I left EQT, being one of the largest firms in Europe, last year. And now I have decided to go into impact investing, and this is a decision that has grown over time, really. I have been on the jury for Stockholm University to selecting the best business ideas from a sustainability perspective, and when you see the passion of the young generation, you realize this is something that will change the world forever. Because the young students of today at universities, they'll only work for employers that has a sustainable business strategy. They'll only consume in a sustainable way. And I firmly believe that you will only be able to make good money unless you actually follow these trends that consumer goes this way. Since 1970, half of the species have disappeared, and of course we all know we can't continue for the next 50 years. The way that things have been going on the last 50 years. And of course on carbon emissions is even worse. So I just think that when you are in investing, you have a rule of prudency that no matter how remote the risk is, you never take the bankruptcy risk. But that is a little bit what humankind is doing for the time being, because we may be ruining the planet so that all people might actually die in the end. And I think that is not prudent doing that. So you can debate at what degree is it irreversible and when does that happen. But I think it's pretty clear to all of us that we're over-consuming when it comes to the seas, the forests, and also of course on carbon. So we just got to address it. And we got to take out that optionality risk. I am personally completely convinced that this is very, very dangerous. So I'm a believer in that sense that we have an urgent need here. But I understand some people are more skeptical, but I would say to them that can you really rule out that this is a catastrophic scenario? And I think very few people, being scientists and not very committed to that idea, can actually rule that out. So let's help to create a more sustainable planet and a better planet for all the people. And I believe we can make profit at the same time, because that will require big investments, not huge investments. If the private community just steer capital to that, we can solve that issue for the next 10 years.
You said you have a private equity background. How does that influence your way of thinking about impact investing and your style in this new form of investing for you?
Well, of course, I had an investment background. I think I've been relatively good at making money for the investors over time, and I see this as a huge business opportunity in the sense that the change that will now occur, how people consume, how the regulators will act upon consumer pressure, will require a completely different investor skill set than what we've had historically, where sustainability risks have been seen as non-financial risks, but I truly believe that they are inseparable now. So in the sense that the sustainability risks will be very financial risks with huge financial implications. So having that sustainability analysis and expertise into your investment expertise as one process will be utterly key and important for being a successful investor. This has not really been accepted by large parts of the investment community, but I think in due course this will be how most investment organizations actually operate.
Where do you see these risks? Can you give some examples, please?
Well, of course, if you are in supplying to diesel cars today, I personally believe that they're coming to an end. And of course there will probably be 1 million jobs going away, and of course profits will turn into losses for many of those suppliers. On the other hand, if you support the infrastructure for electrical cars, when those cars should be charged, And when components should be delivered to electricity cars that is completely different from the traditional car, there is a tremendous business opportunity. Same thing with the oil companies, of course. There will be very different economics when the prices of energy from alternatives completely collapses. So understanding the trends, how consumer behavior change, and the political forces and regulatory forces will be key. I don't think it comes natural for most investors.
Where do you see other opportunities coming up?
Well, of course, traditional food, of course, is an area where we have to change the way we eat and consume. And I also personally think that we have to treat the animals better than what we're doing today. But also from a climate perspective, this is not sustainable to continue the way we're doing. And I think that will be quite an opportunity. And I think people will eat healthier if they eat more plant-based, and at the same time it'll be much better for the planet. So I think that's a change that has to come. Something with water purification, and of course the infrastructure around water will have to be looked upon and invested quite deeply upon. So also that's an area which of course will be very interesting. Anything as around alternative energy will be an interesting area, although it's difficult to see exactly what technology will win. But with the new technology and with the abilities there will be lots of options, and a few will be winners. But there I think you have to hedge your risks a little bit, because you don't know what's the standard that's going to win these days.
So which standards are currently competing?
Well, I mean, it's different solar techniques and it's different wind techniques, but I think that I personally believe that you have the best opportunity there. You may have other wave techniques or other solutions, biofuel, but there will be new technologies coming that we're probably not aware of today that could easily make even a solar company abundant in a few years' time, because there is an even cheaper technology. Because if you look at how fast the prices are falling with a new technological breakthrough, it's difficult to know. And again, of course, you have the entire battery space where you have to sort of charge this industry and utilize this technique, and exactly what technology will win, I think nobody really knows. But of course somebody will make huge money on the increased need for battery capacity going forward.
You have the idea or the mission to bring people to think about their pension capital and to move it in more sustainable solutions. Why is that so, and why is this need there?
Well, I think generally speaking, most people, they don't really think too much about their pensions and exactly what they have and how that capital that they do have is actually invested. And of course the impact of that huge capital is enormous compared to a lot of personal decisions that people are taking today. So when people actually eat a little bit of red meat or use train instead of cars, and perhaps fly a little bit less, if they actually would steer to sustainable investing on their entire pension capital, that impact has much, much bigger impact. And I just think that in 20 years' time, it will be the standard that people ask their pension manager, how does my capital contribute to a better world? And today that question is very rarely asked, and I firmly hope and I believe that this will be a worldwide change, that it will be much more questioned. Are we just going for profit, or are we going for sustainability and profit? And I personally believe that the young generation now that don't have too much pension capital, when they get to that point where they do care about the pensions, then they will really focus this issue. So it'll force the pension managers to actually change the way they are currently investing. I think that would be very, very important and positive for the world.
Do you have certain measures on the impact that such a change can make, or examples maybe?
I mean, of course, impact as such, if you take out things that are not good for society, the cost would go down dramatically when it comes to volatility, when it comes to healthcare cost, when it comes to social problems. people being uneducated, being non-supportive, they perhaps go into criminality or drug problems. The cost for society is just huge for that. And if you just give people a proper education, a chance, and see them, then you get a completely different society. And I think all these areas we need to focus on. It's not only one solution, of course. It's a broader, better society. One of that is the climate, of course, which I believe personally is very, very important and is urgent, but also having a more collaborative society where we take care of each other. I think that's quite important.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
for the interview. Thank you.